When you've got races to get through, knit two together. Junior Rotax Heat 2 is coming up. James Ollier and Morgan Hudson back on the front row again. Zane Stout and Jacob Dukes from Adam Catling and James Kochelek. Then Ben Horner and Dan Whitfield to round out the 10. It's Charlie Gillam and Lewis Sumner. Then Bartek Filipiak and Archie Doherty from George Daniels and Molly Pugh. James Kell, Ben Gordon, Oliver Lomax and Harry Hurst-Grover, hoping to go a little bit further in race 2 than he did in Heat 1.
These grid positions made up from the finishing positions, Jake, in that first heat. First heat's made up from time qualifying. These positions made up from the positions at the end of Heat 1, and they all get through
Only
turn 1 just.
I tell you what, it's a little bit more clustered together than even in the first heat it was. Everybody's learnt from the first go, and now it's a lot tighter as they make their way through. James Ollier still just in front for the moment, but up to second place, that is Zane Stout. He's made the jump on Morgan Hudson. Yeah,
Zane Stout in second now. Hudson it was that came second in that first heat. That's the 51 kart there, Archie Doherty. Up the infield, straight through the Wilson S's, through the final turn. This is the Stanlow Bend Oil Refinery on the left-hand side. Stanlow Oil Refinery, Adam Catling into P4 on that opening lap. Adam Catling will be looking as we've got another move made for a place through turn 1. Places being made and lost throughout the laps.
This is a very interesting jockey just outside the top 5.
3 abreast.
Yeah, up the inside, that's a brave lunge from Horner, but he's going to run wide on the exit. And that's going to be enough for James Kochelek to sweep back in and take it again.
That was a great move going into the corner. Lost it on the exit, but a great effort nonetheless. 3 abreast going into the hairpin.
You've got to give them an opportunity. This is Lewis Sumner's chance in the middle of this gaggle as well.
Yeah, he's in the green suit. There he is, green suit, white helmet. Lewis Sumner, by the way, he's done some indoor karting. And what's good about this effort is, I mean, he had to come back after the problems early on in that first heat. Came back into, I think it was in the top 10.
He was in the top 10,
so,
yes.
And now he's in 9th place. He's only had his own kart for 3 months, and he's done 3 test sessions on that kart here at Hooton Park. So for him to be where he is at the moment, right in the mix, in the middle of the pack, I'd expect him to be at the back of the field, quite frankly. But no, he's clearly a driver with talent, and moving forward, he's going to be a race winner.
Back again here at Hooton Park, and the beat goes on, but not for James Kell. He is out of the race, unfortunately. He was one of the drivers fighting his corner up towards the top 10 in the earlier race and in this one, but I'm afraid it's all come unstuck for him on this occasion as we watch again this fantastic duel between the drivers fighting for P4, and that's a nice move up the inside from Kochelek. He gets through on Ben Horner for 7th position as James Ollier goes across the line to continue his run in front of Stout and Hudson. And then comes that sweeping battle. It's Catling from Dukes, Whitfield, Kochelek and Horner.
Just notice the graphic there. Charlie Gillam, who's further back in the field, is under investigation for something. We've not seen what it is. Maybe something while we're away. But this is the race leader, James Ollier. And at the moment, Jake, it's been all Ollier all day. Nobody has led James Ollier at any point in the first 2 heats of the meeting so far. So is he going to lead from lights to flag in heats 1, 2 and the final? He's on the last lap now.
Yeah, certainly looking good to make it 2 from 2. Zane Stout 2.5 seconds back, and Whitfield has moved up. He's got ahead as Kochelek is now in 5th from Dukes, Horner and Catling. So Catling was in 4th position just a short while ago. Ollier now trying to work his way around the outside of Molly Pugh. Molly lets him go, that's perfectly acceptable. Charlie Gillam has picked up a driving standards penalty. 3 places going to be added to his finishing position. That's unfortunate. That's going to drop Charlie Gillam to 15th as it currently stands. But James Ollier has worked his way through, and he will take the checkered flag. Oh, final lap shenanigans! Ollier gets the victory. But on the last lap of the second heat in Junior Rotax, there is drama.
Yeah, that was Oliver Lomax.
Oh, there's even more, look at that.
It was Oliver Lomax going round. Not sure who that was that turned him round, but there he is. Oliver on the 26, unfortunately for him.
Yeah, that's a difficult end to the race for Oliver Lomax, but at the victory, it is James Ollier in front of Zane Stout and Morgan Hudson. Dan Whitfield in P4 in front of Ben Horner. Adam Catling comes home in P6, and then Lewis Sumner ahead of Jacob Dukes, who drops to P8 in the end. Harry Hurst-Grover going from dead last to 9th place, making his way through half the field in the process, and Bartek Filipiak coming home in 10th after a crazy race.
On the side of the track at the end of the race, George Daniels there, you can see, he's inspecting his car because he's sheared off his rear axle. Now, it's a very unusual occurrence. I have seen it before. That's what's happened. Hub, tyre, sprocket and axle in hand. But look at that. The axle's completely sheared, broken. And it looks like it's broken on the outside of the rear bearing hanger. So a bit of mechanicking to do if George is going to get back out for the final coming up later in this programme. Anyway, that's the sort of image that his sponsors like, quite frankly. Guaranteed airtime. That was Junior Rotax Heat 2. The seniors are already making their way out on track for their second heat of the day. And here's Jake with the grid positions. Jake.
Well, Senior Rotax Heat number 2 sees Rathbone and Hayes Roberts back on the front. Troy Spencer and Leo Jackson renewing their battle from earlier. Then Mackenzie Stevens and Curtis Harding, Ben Knowles and Luke Davies from Tommy Lee, and Zach Boker rounding out the top 10. In 11th place, it's James Eyre ahead of Lucas Miles, John Bramwell ahead of Lewis Smith, and then Alexander Murzian and Adam Cerner, Callum Kinder, Alex Eads, Louis Marika, and then James Barrett at the very back of the grid. Now, hopefully, we're going to go through the race this time into the first couple of corners without the melee and the flotsam and jetsam around the circuit that we did last time. Into the first corner. Just about a little bit of nudging, but this time it looks as though everybody's going to make it through in one piece. A couple of drivers going for a nice manoeuvre or two, but Luke Davies, I'm afraid, is going no further than the first lap. The number 54 having problems on the way to the rolling start, and a big lock-up up the inside from James Eyre, and that's caused a couple of problems already. John Bramwell, unfortunately, facing in the wrong direction as they go out of turn 2.
Yeah, all action on the opening lap. We saw the 54 pulling off. That was Luke Davis. He pulled into Parc Ferme, went straight through the finish line and just pulled into Parc Ferme. So obviously got some sort of mechanical issue. It is Robbie Rathbone that leads it. Jack Hayes-Roberts was temporarily down to third, back up to second. Then comes Jackson and Spencer. So similar to how it was at the end of the first race. Then you've got Stevens, Knowles, Lee, Harding, Miles and Lewis Smith rounding out the top 10 now.
So Zach Boker trying to grade himself back into the top 10. Alex Eads is making progress as well. Here's Curtis Harding getting up the inside of Tommy Lee, and that's a very nice manoeuvre to finish off the job there.
Yeah, Harding started 6th and is now 8th, and Tommy Lee looks like he's in 9th, so they look like they've potentially, well, Tommy Lee's lost a place, lost 2 places.
They're still shuffling around a bit, aren't they? Lucas Miles is there in 9th ahead of Smith and Boker. And there is the duel for, and it's again, look, it's happening exactly the same way that we saw in the first heat. The leading 2 are disappearing out front. The second 2, Jackson and Spencer, are just trying to stay with them at the present moment. But this time, Mackenzie Stevens doesn't want to lose track of them. He wants to stay right with them throughout. Yeah,
Troy Spencer got, what, 3 or 4 car lengths you can see there to make up on Leo Jackson. I'm sure he'll do that. He'll take his cues from what Leo is doing. He can judge his braking on where Leo is braking and then try and find a way past. He's within 2 kart lengths now. Mackenzie Stevens close from Ben Knowles, so similar to how it was in the first race.
Through they come. This is for 10th position. Boker, Eads, Kinder and Smith. Callum Kinder and Alex Eads both obviously on the comeback trail after their lap 1 shenanigans in race 1. But Kinder all over the back of Alex Eads. They want to go through the field together. Jimmy Bly and Joe Tanto style. It's just like the Sylvester Stallone movie Driven. They just want to go through the whole field, left and right, charging through, making up places and getting themselves back towards the sharp end. Yeah,
I'll be interested to see how Alex Eads currently went through the line last time in 11th place. Be interested to see how many places he can make up. Had to start at the back of the field after pulling off on lap 1 in the first heat. So this is the second of the heats. You don't score any points in the heats, by the way. You score... And the interesting dynamic here is the only place I've seen for years that score the top 10 places on the grid. You can score 10 to 1, and then in the final you score 20 to 2. If you finish outside the top 10 on the grid or in the final, you score 0 points. And I like that dynamic because it can change things as far as the championship is concerned. If you do have a bad round, you can drop your 2 worst scores during the season. 10 rounds in total, 6 of them we're filming.
Well, that's the thing about this sport. It should be about the spirit of the competition. It should be about the sportsmanship and the fair play, and to give the drivers an opportunity to allow that sometimes things are out of their control, sometimes things don't always go their way, and to still give them a chance to fight for something. It's a brilliant way of going about it at club level because it's meant to be a club, it's meant to be good fun, fair racing. That's why people do it in the first place.
This is the battle for 3rd place. That's Leo Jackson ahead of Troy Spencer. Troy easy to spot white helmet, blue suit. That's Leo ahead of him, and then comes Mackenzie Stevens and Ben Knowles. Bit of a gap back to Curtis Harding, Tommy Lee, Lucas Miles. Zach Boker is going to have it all on to hold off Alex Eads in 11th and Callum Kinder in 12th. Is it Boker or Bowker? I'm not sure. We're back with this battle for third though.
Spencer still trying to make his way past Leo Jackson. This battle just will not say die today. Who's going to get the better of them as the race continues on?
While you're away, here's a replay. The overtake for third. Troy Spencer up the inside of Leo Jackson through turn one, as clean as you like it. And a great move there by Troy for third. Back live as we approach the business end of this race. Just a lap and change to go.
And it's no change up the front from what we saw in Heat 2 compared to Heat 1. Rathbone ahead of Jack Hayes-Roberts. Troy Spencer and Leo Jackson still dueling away for positions, but Mackenzie Stevens wants to try and close up on Jackson before the end of the race. He's running out of time to do that, but it's more about the psychological edge to try and put him under pressure before the checkered flag, so that when he goes into the final, he'll be looking over his shoulder just a little bit more intensely than if he was to leave him be. So Robbie Rathbone coming through the final section. He has the fastest lap of the race, and this time it's a 35.4, so still fairly even in terms of pace from one race to the next. And as you can see, the circuit is getting a little bit more rubbered in as the checkered flag comes down for Robbie Rathbone. No issues there. Jake Hayes-Roberts, though, has dropped a fair way back and actually checks right off the throttle as he came through. He lost about a second just giving it up at the very end there, but that could be crucial going into the race later because he saved his engine just that little extra bit. Spencer in third, from Jackson in fourth, Mackenzie Stevens in fifth position. Callum Kinder actually managing to get into 11th place. Alex Eads, though, did actually make it back into the top 10. The final is going to be fascinating. So here is the result from Heat 2. It is still Rathbone and Hayes-Roberts up front, Spencer and Jackson next up. Mackenzie Stevens is P5, so they finish as they started. Ben Knowles is the progressor in P6 ahead of Curtis Harding. Then Tommy Lee is in 8th position, but Lucas Miles made up 3 and Alex Eads made up a whopping 8. The final is going to be fascinating to watch.